Mysteries from the Great Sphinx. Originally written by Dr. Muata Ashby. This audio presentation is read and voiced by Shakimura. It is provided to the public by Amun-Ra University. Early beginnings, the first religion in human history. Shutag-Neter is the ancient Egyptian religion and philosophy. Ancient Egypt was the first and most ancient civilization to create a religious system that was complete with all three stages of religion, as well as an advanced spiritual philosophy of righteousness for social and spiritual order, called Ma'at philosophy, that also had secular dimensions. Several temple systems were developed in Kemet. They were all related. The later Jewish, Christian, and Muslim religions drew from ancient Egyptian religion in order to create their religions, ironically enough, only to later repudiate the source from which they originated. In any case, the Great Sphinx remains the oldest known religious monument in history that denotes high culture and civilization. Ancient Egypt and Kash or Kush produced the oldest religious systems, and their contact with the rest of the world led to the proliferation of advanced religion and spiritual philosophy. The far-reaching implications of the new evidence concerning the Sphinx and other new archaeological evidence in Egypt and the rest of Africa. In the last 20 years of the 20th century, traditional Egyptologists, non-traditional Egyptologists, archaeologists, and others have been taking note of recent studies performed on the ancient Egyptian Sphinx and pyramids which sit at Giza in Egypt. Beginning with such students of ancient Egyptian culture and architecture as R.A. Schwaller de Lubis in the 1950s, and most recently John Anthony West with his book, Serpent in the Sky, many researchers have used modern technology to study the ancient Sphinx monument, and their discoveries have startled the world to the extent it has been promulgated, which has been limited due to the far-reaching implications for rewriting the entire history of humanity. They now understand that the erosion damage on the Sphinx could not have occurred after the period 10,000 BC to 7,000 BCE, because this was the last period in which there would have been enough rainfall in the area to cause such damage. This means that most of the damage with the Sphinx displays, which would have taken thousands of years to occur, would have happened prior to that time, 10,000 BCE. The following evidences must also be taken into account when examining the geology of the Sphinx and the Giza Plateau. The surrounding Sphinx temple architecture is similarly affected. Astronomical evidence agrees with the geological findings. Ancient Egyptian historical documents concur with the new evidence. The Sphinx temple architecture matches the architecture of other buildings in other parts of the country. It is important to understand that what we have in the Sphinx is not just a monument now dated as the earliest monument in history based on irrefutable geological evidence. Its existence signifies the earliest practice not only of high art and architecture, but it is also the first monumental statue in history dedicated to religion. This massive project, including the Sphinx and its attendant temple, required intensive planning and engineering skill. Despite its deteriorated state, the Sphinx stands not only as the most ancient mystical symbol in known human history, but also as the most ancient architectural monument and a testament to the presence of ancient African Egyptian culture in the earliest period of antiquity. Further, this means that while the other two emergent civilizations of antiquity, Sumer and Indus, were in their Neolithic period, ancient Egypt had already achieved mastery over monumental art, architecture, and religion as an adjunct to social order philosophy, as the Sphinx is a symbol of the pharaoh, leader, and upholder of Ma'at, order, justice, and truth, as the god Heru. The iconography of the Sphinx is typical of that which is seen throughout ancient Egyptian history and signals the achievement of a culture of high morals, which governs the entire civilization up until the Persian and Greek conquest. The water erosion of the Sphinx is to history what the convertibility of matter into energy is to physics. John Anthony West, Serpent in the Sky. The findings related to the Sphinx have been confirmed by seismographic tests, as well as an examination of the water damage on the structures related to the Sphinx and the Sphinx Temple, as compared to the rest of the structures surrounding it, which display the typical decay due to wind and sand. It has been conclusively found that the Sphinx and its adjacent structures like the Sphinx Temple were built in a different era, and that the surrounding structures do not display the water damage. Therefore, the wind and sand damaged structures belong to the dynastic era, and the Sphinx belongs to the pre-dynastic era. Therefore, the evidence supporting the older dating of the Sphinx is well-founded and confirmed. These new evidences constitute a monumentous discovery on the order of the discernment of the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic text. It requires an opening up of the closely held chronologies and timelines of ancient cultures for revision, thereby allowing for the deeper study of the human experience on this earth and making the discovery of our collective past glory possible. Thus, it is clear to see that the problem in assigning dates to events in ancient Egypt arises when there is an unwillingness to let go of closely held notions based on biblical-based assumptions and biased information that is accepted as truth and passed on from one generation of Orthodox Egyptologists to the next generation, rather than on authentic scholarship. This deficiency led to the exclusion of the ancient historical writings of ancient Kemet, the Palermo Stone, the royal tablets at Abydos, the royal papyrus of Turin, and the dynastic list of Mer-en-Jehudi, or Manetho, and the dynastic list of Mer-en-Jehudi, or Manetho. However, now, with the irrefutable evidence of the antiquity of the Sphinx, the carbon dating of the Great Pyramid, and the excavations at Abdu, Greek Abydos, and Nekin, Greek Heracompolis, the mounting archaeological evidence and the loosening grip of Western scholars in the field of Egyptology, it is no longer possible to ignore the far-reaching implications of the ancient Egyptian historical documents. New evidence from the Great Pyramid. Newly refined radiocarbon tests on organic material found in recent years in the Great Pyramid have shown that it was built at least 374 years earlier than previously thought. See Egypt, Child of Africa by Ivan van Sertima, 1994. The oldest radiocarbon dating of the organic material in the Great Pyramid yielded a date of 3809 BCE. Further, there is evidence that the lower section of the Great Pyramid is older than the upper parts. While the date when the stone to create the Great Pyramid was originally cut apparently cannot as yet be dated with available instruments, tests performed on 16 samples of organic materials such as charcoal discovered in the Great Pyramid at Giza by a prominent Orthodox Egyptologist, Mark Leonard, show that the pyramid was in use as early as 3809 BCE. So on this evidence alone, the chronologies given for the age of the Great Pyramid by traditional Egyptology as belonging to the reign of Pharaoh Khephren or Cheops of 2551 BCE to 2528 BCE are simply untenable and must be revised forthwith. While monumentous in and of itself, the evidence of the Sphinx fits into the larger scheme of scientific evidences which are unraveling the mysteries of history and leads us to the understanding of life in ancient Northeast Africa as a high point in human cultural achievement, which was attained in ancient Egypt and later spread out to the rest of the world